After being in Pandora for 13 years, James Cameron returns with a new Avatar film that may be better than the original. So today, I'd like to stop and take the time to talk about Avatar: The Way of Water. I saw this on Friday matinee screening, but I have a new job, so I didn't have enough time to actually record this review until today. With that being said, please don't forget to check out that Twitter that's going to pop up on your screen right now. My name is SW Nation, and you are free to comment down below your very own opinion on Avatar: The Way of Water. With that being said, like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get right into our review. I wasn't the biggest fan of the first Avatar movie. In fact, I only saw that first Avatar movie back in June. That was the first time that I've ever seen it. So, the sequel, I've been kind of ready to see it. I just really wanted to see a new Avatar story after seeing the one in June. But with that being said, let's move right into the good. And the good thing that comes to mind here is that this is a cinematic experience to see in a theater. The technical achievement of fully realizing this environment and its characters was incredible to me. James Cameron returns after 13 years with the sequel that everyone has been waiting on. And since it has been 13 years for us, it's been that time for the characters, maybe even more. So we see Sully and Neytiri as parents now, and for me, that was the best part of the film. It felt like when I walked out of the movie, I said it felt like a Lion King Part 2, like Simba's Pride movie, but it also felt like a movie where in the original, it's the same thing like as the first Avatar movie, but it's like in the original, the main characters are first meeting together, they're falling in love, this, that, and the third, and then in the second film, they now have kids to take care of, and these parents that were in their prime, they were the champions of their respective worlds, and it's like when they go inside of the sequel, now their new challenge is being a parent. I love that. I love the fact that even inside of the movie, they even show like a sequence where Sully and Neytiri just go on a date because the kids are asleep. That's one of the things that I really love about the show Superman and Lois, which I had a lot of comparisons to this and in that show. Because Superman, we've seen him in his prime before. We know that Superman is an unstoppable force. He saved the universe multiple times. But we've never seen him be a parent. And when you go inside of Superman and Lois and you see him trying to be a dad, struggling to be a dad with these two boys, it's like it's a whole new game changer for Superman. And the family drama of that show is why I love that show. The kids in this film feel and look real. Their designs are incredible. Their acting is incredible. And honestly, going inside of the movie, I thought the kids' acting was going to be the worst part of the movie for me. There's this one human kid inside of the movie. He wasn't that bad. Honestly, like, he was not that bad. And obviously, Sully and Neytiri kids, they're all pretty great. Sigourney Weaver's character was the one that I was like, her design is incredible because it kind of looks like Sigourney Weaver, but also not really like her Avatar, but more like a kid version of her. I thought all of that worked, and just to bring Sigourney Weaver back into the movie. And also, the family drama in this film never happens just because. We know Sully was ex-Marine, so him treating his kids like military children, like a military dad, didn't feel forced. It felt grounded. It felt real. The kids weren't annoying. Their dialogues wasn't cheesy or forced. The writing for the family was incredible. Sully and Neytiri and their kids, everything surrounding the family drama, everything surrounding the arguments, and even the conversation between the kids, the brothers, the sisters, all of it worked because when arguments happen between the two brothers, what happens 2 minutes later? They make up. Why? Because they're brothers. They're family. Even me and my brother, when we would argue, 2 minutes later we would make up. Me and my sisters, we would argue. 2 minutes later we would make up. They didn't keep the argument going on for the entire film. And it wasn't like, no spoilers here, when one child was getting more neglected than the other, it wasn't like he hated his family. He just didn't fit in. But that's normal for any child that's getting neglected in a family, but it's not like he didn't love his family. It's not like he didn't love his father, his brother, his mother, his sisters. All of it just worked for me. Obviously, the CGI is spectacular. It's a spectacle to behold this in a theater. It just looks gorgeous. At a time where CGI is advancing, but in recent films like Black Adam and Doctor Strange and Thor Love and Thunder, it seems like it's going backwards. And this film is 90% CG. The other 10% is the human child that I was telling you guys about. This entire film is CGI, and it looks incredible. It looks real. Seeing this in a theater, oh my god, it's incredible that 13 years later, the two films that have the best CGI is freaking Avatar and Avatar 2. Like, come on, guys, step your game up. Other studios, and this is Disney. This is 20th Century Fox adjacent, but it's Disney. I don't understand. Again, the visuals are just splendid. To me, this movie was a proper sequel to the first, continuing the themes but also expanding the world from the jungles of Pandora to the Metcayan tribe of Pandora, the water tribe. Actually, it's a reef, but still, I really love this tribe. Actually, introducing this new tribe, seeing a different side of Pandora, again, it's a nice change of scenery, and it provides a new location for world building. Like I said, it is a proper sequel that continues everything from the first film while also leaving the door open for a sequel to this film. I gotta say, I like this movie more than the original. But with that being said, let's move right into the mixed. And the mixed thing that comes to mind here is that the 3D was pretty jarring. This movie, I wanted to experience in 3D. Matter of fact, all of my friends said, let's not experience it in 3D. I was the first person to say, yo, let's go see it in 3D. It's meant to be seen in 3D. The first movie was meant to be seen in 3D. I never got to see it in 3D back in 2009. I've never seen the first Avatar film until this year. When I go into it, I'm expecting an experience in 3D. But then again, it's been 10 years since I've seen a movie in 3D. So when I watch it in 3D, I was struggling to find where the 3D was. Now, there was parts where, it was popping out at the screen, but there were not many 3D scenes. In fact, 3D was far better for the first film because the first film looked like it had 3D scenes in it. It was specifically made for 3D. This movie, I feel like, is much better for IMAX. Dolby Experience and IMAX or GTX, anything like that, I wouldn't recommend going to go see it in 3D. I know a lot of people would. Me personally, I didn't really enjoy it, and also having the 3D glasses on made the screen darker for me. So when I took off the glasses, it felt a little bit better because it was brighter. The screen was brighter. I can see the colors more naturally, and even though it was a little bit blurry, I could still see the characters in full focus. And while I'm on the topic, I must talk about the plot and the story. It's nothing spectacular. I personally like this plot and story more than the first film. Like, again, I like this movie more than the first film. But I really do feel like the plot is a little bit generic. I know a lot of people are not going to be crazy about the plot. They're not going to be worrying about the plot. The problem with the plot is that it's trying to tell a singular story, but the singular story and the plot is not tightly knit. It's all loose, and that's unfortunate to the runtime. Another observation here is that this movie is solely focused on the kids. The kids are the main characters, and going inside of this movie, I was expecting to see more Sully and Neytiri. While I did get to see them as parents, I really wanted to see them as the main characters of this movie. Again, this mixed section isn't a good thing, isn't a bad thing. It didn't hurt my experience at all. Maybe the 3D part, everything else is just an observation. And the bad thing that comes to mind here is the action. Now, when it happens at first, it works. Then it goes on for too long. Contrivances happen, and now you're watching an action scene by the end of the movie that has stakes and consequences, but since you're 2 hours and 45 minutes in, you're fatigued by the size of the film. What I mean by that is that this movie is huge and is 3 hours and 12 minutes. And when you're watching that, and you're taken away by the sweeping scope and size of this film, when the action sequences happen, you're kind of tired. You're kind of tired. This movie takes you on an experience, and by the time you get to the last action scene that lasts a good 45 minutes, you're tired. And it was like this with the Batman. It felt like they just tacked on a third act. I feel like with this movie, tacked on a third act. the only time an action scene happens is when somebody gets kidnapped. A character goes off where they don't need to be and they get kidnapped, and now we have to have an action scene. Or a character gets lost and is about to die, and then now we're going to have the action scene. That's how action sequences start inside of this film. And really, that's not a bad thing. It's just the fact that it was repetitive throughout the movie, that it happened like 3 times. So when action sequences finally happen, they're great. Awesome. But then they go on for too long. And then I'm like, can we please get back to the family drama? Can we get back to Sully scolding at his children? Can we get back to the children arguing and then becoming, family again? Can we get back to that stuff? The good stuff. I love the family writing in this movie. It was incredible. And the length is going to be a turnoff for a lot of people. So keep that in mind going into it. The final negative is the villain. I forgot the villain's name. And I guess that's another negative. You still don't know the characters' names. Like, all I know is Sully and Neytiri, and I had to search up Neytiri. You still do not know the character's name. Kitty. Actually, I know Kitty. That's Sigourney Weaver's character, Kitty. But other than that, I know Sully, Neytiri, and Kitty, and Snake. I know Snake. He's the human character inside of the movie. Again, you just don't know these characters' names. You don't remember them. But that's not important because you didn't go in there to remember these characters' names. But the villain, again, like the first film, he just can't die. Like, simply, every time he gets in a fight, they can easily kill this man. But he just can't die. Like, contrivances happen to where this guy can't die. He's the old Army guy, the villain of the first film, coming back in an Avatar for this movie. But it's like, still, he just can't die. And I just felt like the movie didn't focus on him too much. They introduced a lot of plot points around this character that didn't go nowhere in this movie. So I guess it's because the third movie is coming, but when I was watching the movie, I didn't feel like this was teasing the next movie. I didn't feel like it was one half to another story. I felt like this was its own story. They just set up plot lines that didn't go anywhere. In conclusion, Avatar: The Way of Water is a proper sequel to the first, and in my opinion, even better. James Cameron returns after 13 years to deliver a cinematic spectacle experience that has more emotion, bigger scope, better CGI, and family drama. While the action is a huge negative and the 3D was jarring for me and you still don't know the characters' names, I must say, Avatar: The Way of Water is an A for me and a 9.5 out of 10. It's losing those 5 points because of the length, because of the action, and because of the villain. But all in all, I would say see it. Definitely not in 3D though. But you can go see it in 3D if you want to. But the first movie is made to be seen in 3D. This one, you can see it without 3D. It's the same experience either way. Alright guys, that is it for the review. Please note that everything that I did say in this video was just my very own opinion, and you're free to comment down below. What did you think of Avatar: The Way of Water? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it's better than the original like me? Comment all of that down below. With that being said, guys, please don't forget to check out that Twitter, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Peace.